Rodgers be the quarterback in Green Bay. Now, Rodgers has been absent from the team's offseason activities as the rift with the Packers organization continues. But Rodgers spoke Monday on his mental health. Take a listen to this.
Sometimes the loudest person in the room is not the smartest person. Sometimes the loudest person in the room is not the person who has all the facts on their side or the truth on their side. Sometimes there's a lot of wisdom in silence. Sometimes there's a lot of wisdom in being selective on what you say.
All right, very philosophical, Aaron Rodgers, but I got to say, a lot of people are shaking their heads over some of those comments. Dan Orlovsky, Mike Tannenbaum, Jeremy Fowler with us. Jeremy, I'll start with you. What is the latest that you're hearing on the Rodgers-Packers rift ahead of training camp?
Well, Ryan, here's what I'm hearing. There's no real uniformed feeling out of Green Bay as to whether Aaron Rodgers actually reports to training camp. Some are hopeful and believe that he will. Others there feel like he's going to drag this out like he has been and that this could bleed into August. And when you ask around, make calls, I hear a lot of the Aaron Rodgers answers. I don't know. We'll see. And so the Green Bay Packers continue to look for solutions here. They're hopeful, and they've made clear publicly and privately they're not going to trade him. And talking to some league execs, they believe the longer this drags out, the better the chances Rodgers plays for Green Bay because the clock is ticking toward week one, could make chances to trade him more difficult.
That is interesting. The longer it drags out, that there's a better chance of him playing. So, Mike, I have to ask, Aaron Rodgers says there's a lot of wisdom in silence, but then there's this unspoken thing that's happening. What do you make of how Aaron Rodgers is handling this situation?
Ryan, it's disappointing. You want your starting quarterback of an NFL franchise to be a battlefield commander. Just come out and say it. Are you done playing with Green Bay? If you are, that goes down one road. If you say, hey, I'm disappointed how Green Bay handled things, and by all means, it sounds like Aaron Rodgers has a really good case that they certainly could have handled things better, but you're the leader of the franchise. Come out and say, hey, I'm disappointed, but we're going to get in a room and we're going to air our grievances and we're going to solve problems together and then move forward. But to come out in this sort of passive-aggressive way, you're just inflaming situations. And I've been there. I've been in difficult situations. The best way to solve problems is to have candid discourse, get in a room, and then work it out.
Dan, do you agree?
No, I completely disagree. So first of all, the whole Aaron Rodgers come out and say that you just don't want to play for the Packers. I remember being a player, and one of the things that an agent would always say to the player would be, let us be the bad guys. Okay, like this is the reason why, or one of the reasons why you pay an agent, is for them to do some dirty work. And so Aaron Rodgers doesn't need to come out and say anything. His agent has gone to the football team and expressed exactly Aaron Rodgers' feelings. So Aaron doesn't need to come out and say anything. He's allowing his agent to do the work behind the scenes. Number two, I had a coach named Gary Kubiak, a well-respected coach that would always say, I'm not going to treat you all equal, but I'll treat you all fairly. Aaron Rodgers has earned the right to handle this exactly the way he wants to. Exactly the way he wants to, because of his performance and the way he's represented the Green Bay Packers. Listen, if my wife went in behind my back, made a decision that was going to have a tremendous amount of impact on our marriage and our family, I'm going to be upset about it. And that's exactly what happened. This has nothing to do with them taking a quarterback. It has everything to do with them doing it and not communicating it to him. Aaron Rodgers is allowed to do whatever he wants given this situation.
Whatever he wants.
I
Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, Ryan, I see it so differently. Look, Green Bay should have handled it differently. I'm not defending that in terms of, hey, guess what, Aaron? We may draft a quarterback because it's the responsible thing for us to do for the franchise. But with that said, his agent should be saying, hey, Aaron, this is about your legacy. It's not
up on his mindset. Should he get a pass for where we are right now? Plus, what should the Browns do about Baker Mayfield? Pay him the big bucks right now or wait and see? And deer in the headlights. What Giannis and the Bucks must do to win Game 2 of the Finals tonight. And good morning to you. I am Ryan Smith in for Mike Greenberg. Thank you so much for joining us today. We got a lot to get through this morning, especially with Game 2 of the Finals tonight in the NBA. Plenty of football to talk about with our guys right here, our team, Dan Orlovsky, Mike Tannenbaum, Jeremy Fowler, standing by to talk some football. But we got to start with the game of the night, and it is from the NHL Stanley Cup on the line. Tampa Bay Lightning, Montreal Canadiens. Lightning, one win away from becoming the 9th different franchise to repeat as Stanley Cup champions, and just over 10 minutes to play in the second. No score, Canadiens power play, puck loose in the corner. Cole Caulfield comes up with it off the crossbar. Caulfield frustrated on that play, but we'd play on. Under 7 minutes to go in the second period, still no score. David Savard fires a shot deflected, but Ross Colton there for the goal. Lightning strike. Another look. Look at the deflection out front, and Caulfield. Colton right there for the goal, his 4th of the postseason. Lightning up 1-0. The Cup getting ready, getting shiny. Right under 8 minutes to play. Same score. Puck wrapped around the board. Shea Weber. Barclay Goodrow blocking him. Watch that. Goodrow with the block. Great block. He limps to the bench after that one, but he takes a sacrifice for the team. 14 seconds to play in the game. Same score. Puck loose in the corner. Sent out in front of the net. The Lightning able to clear it. As time expires, the Lightning hold on to win it 1-0, and they win the Stanley Cup. They've now won 3 titles in 282 days. And here is Steve Stamkos on the win.
It's so hard to win the Stanley Cup, and then you do it 2 years in a row. I mean, you deserve to go down in history. No matter what happens from here on out, this group is going to be etched in history forever, and that's pretty effing special.
I didn't want to go back to Montreal, but the fans in Montreal, come on. They acted like they won the Stanley Cup last game. You kidding me? Are you kidding me? Their final was last series. Okay.
Are you kidding me? I guess he's not. All right, throughout the entire playoffs, the Lightning, including Stamkos and Kucherov, were completely dominant. This was just the 3rd time since the 1943-44 season. The top 5 scores in the playoffs came from the same team, and the first time since 1970. So that was in the NHL. In the NBA, Game 2 is tonight. NBA Finals, and was all Suns in Game 1. Chris Paul scored or assisted on 54 points in Game 1. That's the 3rd most in a Finals debut all time, behind only Allen Iverson and Michael Jordan, according to Elias. But Devin Booker, of course, was a big help. The two combined to score 59 points, the most by a starting backcourt in their Finals debut since 1970. Now, the Bucks hope they can get back to the free throw line, at least more than they did in Game 1. The Suns made 16 more free throws in Game 1, the 2nd worst differential for Milwaukee under Mike Budenholzer. Here's Giannis talking yesterday about his health.
Going to Game 2, hopefully I can feel more comfortable, more confident to be, to go downhill, to make more plays. We'll see. I don't know how tomorrow is going to be, but hopefully I can be in a position that I can make more plays tomorrow.
Looking at the film, he's like everybody else. There's some things that he can do better, and there's some things that he did well, and same as our group. And I think the thing about Giannis, he always gets better.
They're going to need him to be better in order to win Game 2. Richard Jefferson now joining us. RJ, I have to ask you, when you look at Giannis in Game 1, what did you see? How did he look to you?
No, I thought he looked good. Ultimately having those games off, trying to get your rhythm, trying to get your feel back. And also there's a level of caution. And if you can go out there and put out 20 and 15, if you can go out and put up crazy numbers like that, when you're not even like in your kind of rhythm and feel and you're still testing it out, I think Giannis is going to be just fine. Is he going to be 100%? Probably not, but I think he's going to be more than just okay to go out there and have a quality series.
Okay, so what do he and the Bucks need to do to win Game 2?
Well, obviously we talked about the free throw line. That was big, but they did some quality things. The way they defended Devin Booker, he was 1 for 8 from 3. Jay Crowder was 0 for 8. So they did some very good things defensively. They have to do a much better job. And look, Chris Paul is one of the best in probably league history at getting his team into the bonus, picking up ticky-tack fouls, but that's how their team plays. And when they get to the free throw line, they make their free throws. They're one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league at, they were 25 for 26 in the game. So even though they don't shoot a ton, they did in last game, they often make them, and that's different from the Bucks. So you got to keep them out of the bonus early, and you got to keep them off the free throw line. Now when you're playing that great defense, making Devin Booker go 1 for 8, making Jay Crowder go 0 for 8, now that defense is a lot smoother because you kept them off the free throw line and you're making them shoot a low percentage.
Yeah, they only shot around 32% from 3 as a team. You wonder if that will happen in game 2 for that Suns team. So who wins and why?
I honestly think the Phoenix Suns. I have the Phoenix Suns winning this series in 6 because they've been the most consistent team. They have been the healthiest team. But I do believe that the Milwaukee Bucks, when they get back to Milwaukee, are going to be a problem. I think that's where the series starts. I'm not saying the Milwaukee Bucks can't win game 2, but I think for this series, it's about how Milwaukee plays at home, gets their confidence back up, and then goes back into Phoenix potentially for game 5, and then back to Milwaukee for game 6.
Okay, RJ, stick around. We got a lot more to get to on this series. A lot of angles to talk about, including CP3 and what he's doing, which is frankly just remarkable. But thank you so much. We'll be right back to you. But first, we got to talk about the NFL because we are less than 3 weeks away from Packers training camp, and the question remains.